Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dean Barwick, your host for the Money Talk Show. Hey, I'm excited you guys are back today. Today we are doing mistake number 9 of the 12 most common IRA and legacy planning mistakes. Again, before we get started, tell you a little bit about who we are. My name is Dean Barwick, the president and founder of Acquire Capital Management. We are a registered investment advisory firm here in the state of California. Now, we do all of our broadcasting through the Money Talk Show, which broadcasts all over the world. And if you're in the state of California, we would love to talk to you about any of the topics that you've seen or listened to in any of our segments. And if you're outside of the state of California, go to the Money Talk Show. They've got a great advisor referral service. And if with any of our topics, any of the things we discuss, if you have any questions, go to themoneytalkshow.com and click on Ask a Question, and they'll take care of that right away as well. And if you'd like some more information, they do sponsor financial workshops all over the United States. I do recommend you take advantage of those. They're free to you, and they're taught by financial professionals, and there's no business being conducted. It's not a seminar where they're trying to sell you anything. It really is a workshop to help you out. So, hey, let's go ahead and get started and start talking today about number 9 IRA and legacy planning mistake. And this really hits home with a lot of people. It's risking your retirement nest egg. And of course, we're going to deal with that risk factor. So let's take a look at this, and let's talk about what is risk. Now, risk is the probability of loss or injury. Also, it's uncertainty, right? Now, what I mean by uncertainty, if you're dealing with your nest egg and you don't have some guarantees, or you're not certain of the outcome, that depending on the level of uncertainty with something as important as your nest egg, that's a level of risk that you're taking. Now, if you go from T-bills to bonds to stocks to commodities, you can see that the risk there is rising. Now, risk versus return, you also have a higher potential of having a great return or a larger return as the risk increases, but you also have the potential of losing an enormous amount. Now, statisticians actually measure investment risks as the variability of returns, or what they call standard deviation. Now, let's take a look at this. What this shows is that the Treasury bills have a low standard deviation, about 3, or low risk, and that small company stocks have a high standard deviation, over 30, or high risk. Now, what that means to you is there's a way to quantify the risk of your money, which means fewer surprises. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, that is a good thing. Okay, let's go forward. Let's look at risking your retirement nest egg. Now, we use what's called the Rule of 100. Now, the Rule of 100 provides a quick snapshot of how much a person's retirement and investment accounts should be exposed to risk and loss based on their age. Okay, now here's how you use this rule. First, you take the number 100 and you subtract your age. Now, this will tell you what the maximum percentage of your retirement assets should be in the market at risk. And I key that with maximum. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, the remainder of the 100 is how much you should have in safe money or no risk alternatives. Let's go over that again. You take the number 100, subtract your age. So if you're 70 years old, you subtract that from 100, leaves you 30. And that's the maximum percentage of your retirement assets in your nest egg that should be at risk in the market. The remainder of that 100, which is 70, is the percentage that should be at no risk or be in safe money. Now, If you have done a phenomenal job of saving and investing throughout your career, and you have an enormous amount or an enormous nest egg, much more than you actually need, you might be able to do that a little bit differently. If it's a scenario where you'd like to, of course, leave a legacy, we're talking about you still want to be very careful because you want to leave that for your children and your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. However, you might be in a position to go a little above what the rule of 100 would recommend. On the other hand, if you've done everything you can to save and things are already very tight, you might need to have a little less risk than the rule of 100 says you can have. So we're talking maximums here and generalities. You still need to sit down with a registered fee-based financial advisor, go over your particular scenario, your goals, and what you want to accomplish, but you want to keep this as a rule of thought in the back of your mind. You don't want to be too much at risk. Okay, let's move on, take a look at our next slide here. Now, let's look at two different client scenarios here. If you had invested $250,000 on January 2nd of 2000, the following two scenarios show the return you would have had with the S&P 500 and your account value at a growth of 4% interest. So we're talking about investing in the market with the S&P 500, and we're talking about a safe money account that gave you 4%. Now, as you can see, the S&P 500 gave some huge returns throughout the years, but because of the severe losses, you failed to break even after 12 years of investing. Now, the fact is that not only would you have broken even with a 4% return, but you would have been at a $186,152 point ahead of your S&P investment. Now, our safe money strategy would have resulted in a difference of $186,152. So that's giving you an example of going completely in the market or going completely in the safe money strategy. And it's great or better when you can actually get the best of both worlds. Now, we have a rule of 100 report. And this is, go to the Money Talk Show, go to Ask a Question, and request this report. I'll tell you, my clients are never exposed to undesired market risk. We use the Rule of 100 software to calculate current risk versus desired risk. And we also have the ability to adjust that depending on your specific scenario. We adjust our calculations on an annual basis, and also whenever there are client life changes. If you go through a divorce or any type of a life change, we'll sit down and adjust that as well. Exposure to risk, and you got to keep this in mind, in your golden years may result in a loss that you cannot make up. It's a lot different than when you're first starting out and you've got the ability to continue putting money in. The Rule of 100 report will show you whether you're taking too much risk in your nest egg and give you the opportunity to ensure that you're going to have a lifetime retirement income. And that's really important. So again, the mistake today we're talking about is number 9, which is risking your retirement nest egg. And it's very important you look at that. In the Rule of 100 report, we also point out, when you start taking withdrawals, an enormous loss affects you so much more than during the years when you're making contributions. So that's really important to look at. But here's a nice money question. Let's look at the trivia question we have today. Our money question is, if you lost 50% in your retirement account, and this is important, what percentage would you have to gain to recover those losses? Now, if you decline by 10%, you have to recover 11.1%. If your account declines by 25%, you have to recover 33.3% just to break even. If your account loses, or you lose in your account 50%, you have to recoup that. You have to gain 100% just to recover the losses. Now, some people might be thinking, hey, how can that happen? Well, it's pretty obvious, actually. If I have $100 and I lose $50, I only got $50 left, right? Well, what kind of a return do I need to get back to 100? I need to double my money, and that is a 100% return. So, and that's why I just want to point that out. If you are in your retirement years where you're pulling income out, you really got to be careful, and you got to sit down with a fee-based financial planner, a fee-based investment advisor, a financial advisor, a registered investment advisor representative. You've got to sit down with somebody who has your best interest at heart, who will make sure that your plans, your goals, and your retirement planning, your IRA and legacy planning, are prepared for any potential losses that could come down the road, and also that you're in a position to get some good gains too. And there's a balance you have to play with that. Anyway, hey, I want to thank you for joining us today. Again, this is Dean Barwick, your host for the Money Talk Show, and the founder and president of Acquire Capital Management. If you have any questions, please go to themoneytalkshow.com. They are just getting so much more information and education material on their website. They've got a great page for calculators, all types of financial calculators to help you